Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Today we will see the life story of Lord Muruga. Murugan, the son of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, is known by several names across India: Kartikeya, Skanda, Subramanya, Kumara, Kadirvela, Mailon, Aramugan, Sendil Andava, etc. He has 6 heads, rides a peacock, and carries a veil, a type of spear. He is the commander-in-chief of the army of Devas and is predominantly worshipped in South India. The legends that surround the birth of the god are many and varied. According to one legend, Murugan was created by Lord Shiva to rescue the Devas from a demon king called Surapadma. Surapadma was granted a boon by Shiva that made him nearly immortal. He could only be killed by someone who was an offspring of Shiva and Shiva alone. This made the demon king arrogant. He conquered and imprisoned the Devas and brought immeasurable trouble to the world. To save the world and to put Surapadma in his place, Shiva created Murugan from 6 sparks that shot out of his third eye. Murugan then grew up to be a warrior who defeated Surapadma and rescued the Devas. 6 mountain temples across the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu became camps where Murugan and his forces rested. These camps came to be known as Arupadai veedu and comprise Swamimalai, Palani, Palamudircholai, Tiruchendur, Tiruparankundram, and Tirthani. Each of the Arupadai veedu has various legends associated with it and is said to represent different stages in Murugan's life. The birth of Muruga. The birth of Lord Muruga is closely associated with the 3 demons: the Asura king Surapadman, his brothers Tarakasura and Singamukha. There are many legends on the birth of Lord Murugan and are often in variance with one another. It is believed that Lord Muruga was born out of 6 sparks that emanated from the third eye of Lord Shiva. It is said that Agni, the fire god, carried these sparks and placed them in a pond called Saravana, where 6 babies were born on a lotus each. 6 Kritikas, the stars of the constellation Pleiades, nursed and raised the babies. This is the reason why Lord Murugan is also known as Kartikeya, son of Kritikas. When Parvati and Shiva came, Parvati took all 6 babies and hugged them into one being with 6 heads. The Devas rejoiced at the birth of this child, and when the child was grown, he was appointed as the commander-in-chief of the Devas. Now, we will see the legends and life story of Lord Kartikeya through his journey to his 6 hill abodes, the Arupadai veedu. Palani. One day, Lord Shiva was relaxing in Mount Kailash with his wife Goddess Parvati and sons Lord Ganesha and Lord Murugan. Suddenly, sage Narada appeared and offered a gift of a golden mango to Lord Shiva. Narada said, "This is no ordinary mango. This is the golden mango of knowledge, and whoever eats this mango will be granted with eternal knowledge and wisdom." As a loving husband, Lord Shiva gave it to Parvati and requested her to eat. As a loving mother, she wanted to give the fruit to her children. As there was only one fruit and it should not be cut, they announced a contest, and whoever completes 3 rounds of the world first will receive the fruit. Lord Murugan mounted his peacock to go around the world first. In the meantime, Lord Ganesha slowly made his way to his parents and started circling his parents 3 times. Shiva and Parvati were perplexed and asked Ganesha, "Child, you were supposed to circle the world, so why are you circling us instead?" Ganesha replied, "You, my parents, are my universe and my whole world. So, if I circle you, it means that I have circled the entire world." Saying this, He finished his third circle just as Lord Murugan reached Mount Kailash after finishing his third trip across the world. On return, Lord Murugan learned that Lord Ganesha has won the competition and felt cheated. In anger, he renounced his family and came to a spot which is now known as Parani Hill to settle. Lord Shiva and Parvati came to pacify him. They said Param Ni, which means you are the fruit in Tamil, and the hill was called Parani, a name made out of the two words. Murugan is described to have come to Parani after having shorn of his riches, and is described as coming to Parani in Andikolam, that of a young recluse with only a loincloth and armed with a staff, Dandam, and is celebrated as Lord Dandayudapani. The Navapashanam idol. The idol of the deity is said to have been made of a mixture of 9 poisonous substances, which form an eternal medicine when mixed in a certain ratio. It was created and consecrated by the sage Bogar, one of Hinduism's 18 great Siddhas. It is placed upon a pedestal of stone with an archway framing it and represents the god Subramanya in the form he assumed at Parani. That of a very young recluse, shorn of his locks and all his finery, dressed in no more than a loincloth, and armed only with a staff, the Dandam, as befits a monk, Lord Dandayudapani. One of the main traditions of the temple is the tonsuring of devotees who vow to discard their hair in imitation of the Lord of Parani. Another is the anointing of the head of the presiding deity's idol with sandalwood paste at night prior to the temple being closed for the day. The paste, upon being allowed to stay overnight, is said to acquire medicinal properties and is much sought after and distributed to devotees. Devotees carry kavadi, an ornamental mount decked with flowers, glazed paper and tinsel work, and wearing ochre clothes themselves on foot from long distances is a commonly followed worship practice. Panchamridam, mixture of 5, is believed to be a divine mix prepared by Vinayagar at the end of the divine encounter. He mixed honey, dates, banana, raisins and jaggery and distributed it to Shiva Kartikeya. The practice is followed in modern times, where the devotees are provided with Panchamridam as a prasad. Paramudit Cholai, Suttaparam or Sudadaparam. Once, Saint Avvaiyar was travelling by foot. She got tired and sat under a Java plum naval tree. By now, she had written plenty of poems and had developed a huge ego. Lord Murugan wanted to challenge her and appeared as a shepherd sitting on top of the tree. He then said, "Grandma, you look so tired. Do you want some navel fruits?" When she answered yes, he asked, "Do you want Suttaparam or Sudadaparam?" Sutta has 2 meanings, one cooked and the other hot. Avvaiyar thought the kid was blabbering something, as she considered him to be illiterate, told him she wanted Sudadaparam, fruit that is not hot or cooked. When the boy shook the tree, the fruits fell all over the ground. Avvaiyar started picking those fruits. She started to blow away the sand in the fruit before eating it. The boy then exclaimed, "Is the fruit hot?" The gesture of blowing the sand in the fruit appeared as if the fruit was hot. It also meant that the fruit that fell to the ground is heated up by the earth's heat, and the one that is caught before it falls to the ground is not. Avvaiyar had a realization. She thought this boy to be illiterate, but he has taught her a big lesson. Moreover, she had a momentary pride and neglect in her mind, thinking that the boy is illiterate and she was more knowledgeable. This incident made her realize that nobody should be underestimated. She also felt that this should be the act of the divine and requested the boy to reveal his true self. Then the boy revealed that he was Lord Murugan, and she worshipped him with joy. Some of the unique facts about the Paramudir Cholai Murugan temple. There is only one out of 6 abodes of Muruga where Lord Muruga is seen with his consorts Valli and Deivanai. Apart from visiting the temple to seek the divine blessings of the Lord, many people come to this temple to pray for children, marriage, and even for education. In olden days, only the whale was worshipped as the Mulavar or main deity. Later, an idol of Murugan with his consorts Valli and Deivanai was added. In this superb temple, Lord Murugan is worshipped as Jnana Shakti and goddess Valli is worshipped as Ichcha Shakti and goddess Deivanai as Kriya Shakti. The navel tree usually yields fruits only during the Tamil calendar months of Adi and Avani, July to September. But strangely, the tree in these temples yields fruit in the Aipasi month, October to November, a month when Lord Murugan's iconic Sashti festival occurs. A natural spring called Nupura Ganga, with a temple dedicated to the Rakai Amman, is located at the top of the hill. Pilgrims to the temple take a dip in the small sacred spring, which is said to have been originated from the anklet of Lord Vishnu. It is believed that devotees who worship at this shrine are blessed with wealth and health. The Silambar river flows near the temple. Swami Malai. When Kartikeya was a young child, his father, Lord Shiva, asked him to go and study and receive education from Lord Brahma. So Kartikeya went to Lord Brahma and asked him, "Please tell me the meaning of Om." Lord Brahma said, "First learn the alphabets. You are directly asking me for the meaning of Om." Kartikeya said, "No, I want to know the highest knowledge first, Om." Now, Lord Brahma knew all about the alphabets, but he did not know the meaning of Om, the primordial sound. So Kartikeya said to Lord Brahma, "You do not know the meaning of Om. How will you teach me? I will not study under you." And he imprisoned Lord Brahma. And Kartikeya went back to his father, Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma told Lord Shiva, "You alone can handle your son. I can't handle him. If I say this, he says that. Whatever I say, he says the exact opposite of that. I won't be able to teach him. So you decide what is best and handle him." Hearing this, Lord Shiva asked Kartikeya, "What happened, son?" "Lord Brahma is the creator of the entire universe. You must learn from him." To this, Kartikeya replied, "Then you tell me what is the meaning of Om." Hearing this, Lord Shiva smiled and said, "Even I don't know." Kartikeya then said, "Then I will tell you because I know the meaning of Om." "Then tell me the meaning since you know it," said Lord Shiva. "I can't tell you like this. You have to give me the place of the Guru. Only if you put me on the pedestal of the Guru, I can tell you," said Kartikeya. Guru means he has to be on a higher position or platform. The teacher has to sit on a higher place and the student has to sit down and listen to him. How can Lord Shiva find a seat higher than him? For he is the highest and greatest of gods. So then, Lord Shiva lifted the young Kartikeya onto his shoulders. And then, in the ear of Lord Shiva, Lord Kartikeya explained the meaning of the Pranava mantra, Om. Kartikeya explained that the entire creation is contained in Om. The Trinity, Lord Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, are contained in Om. Om means that everything is love. Unbroken and unshakable love is Om. This is the essence and also the secret of Om that Lord Kartikeya narrated to Lord Shiva. Upon hearing this, Goddess Parvati, mother of Lord Kartikeya and an incarnation of the Mother Divine, was elated and overcome with joy. She said, "You have become a Guru, that is Swami, to my Lord, that is Natha." Saying this, she addressed her son as Swaminatha, and ever since Lord Kartikeya also came to be known as Swaminatha. So, in this way, Lord Kartikeya assumed the position of the Guru and explained the meaning of Om to Lord Shiva by sitting on his shoulder. The story happened in the place called Swami Malai, and Lord Swaminatha here is known as Thagappan Swami. Thagappan is a Tamil word for father and Swami means Lord. So Lord Muruga is celebrated as the teacher to the father or as Guru to the father. Swami Malai holds a special place in the hearts of Murugan devotees. The temple is said to have been built in early 2nd century BC by Parantaka Chola. It is one of the 6 Arupadai veedu and is important because this is when and where the secret of Pranava Mantra Om was revealed. You will see in the main shrine in the temple complex in Swami Malai that Murugan is depicted as a teacher and Shiva is listening as a disciple. And in this temple, the son is on a higher pedestal than the father. The 60 steps leading to the temple on the hillock represents the 60 years of the Hindu calendar. The deity of each year is said to be praying to Murugan in the form of steps. In Swami Malai, Murugan mounts an elephant instead of a peacock, and this is depicted in the inner sanctum of the temple. The elephant is called Airavadam, and it is a gift from the king of heavens himself, Indra, after the destruction of the demon Kartikeya by Murugan. Tiruchendur. Tiruchendur is considered one of the most important Arupadai veedu, as it is believed that this is where Murugan vanquished Surapadma. An Asura by name Surapadma was ruling Veera Mahendrapuri, an island fortress. He performed many austerities, invoking Lord Shiva, and the Lord granted him many boons. Later, the Asura became arrogant and captured all the 3 worlds, the heaven, earth, and hell. He made the Devas, the heavenly immortals, to do menial tasks. The Devas were unable to bear his torture and complained to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva opened his 3rd eye to create a son to kill Surapadma. When child Arumuga grew up to become a young boy, Lord Shiva asked him to destroy Surapadma and free the Devas from their cruel bondage. Lord Muruga reached Tiruchendur with his huge army and camped. He sent his commander Veerabahu to the Asuras as an emissary and asked Surapadma to release the Devas. Since Surapadma turned down the request, a war ensued. An intense battle was fought for a few days. During the first 5 days of the war, the brothers of Surapadma and all other Asuras perished. On the 6th day, in the battle between Lord Muruga and Surapadma, the lance of Lord Muruga pierced the body of Surapadma, who got himself transformed into a frightful mango tree and broke it into 2. The broken pieces instantly transformed themselves into a mighty peacock and cock. Lord Muruga took the peacock as his vahana or vehicle and the cock on his banner. This event is popularly known as Sura Samharam or the destruction of Surapadman. After Sura Samharam, Lord Muruga decided to worship his father, Lord Shiva. Hence, Mayan, the divine architect, constructed this shrine at Tiruchendur. Even now, Lord Subramanian is seen in the posture of worshipping Lord Shiva in the Sanctum Sanctorum. A familiar local tradition runs to the effect that about 1648 AD, a race of seafaring men, identified later as the Dutch, descended upon Tiruchendur and carried away the idol Shanmugar and Shiva Natarajar, thinking that they were made out of gold. Their attempt at melting it proving futile, they tried to carry them away by sea. But the sea suddenly grew boisterous and it rocked the ship violently, so the sailors threw the idols into the sea. The loss of the idols was discovered and duly communicated to Pillayan, the local administrator of the Nayakan ruler at Tirunelveli. A great devotee that he was, Pillayan was sorely affected and he knew not what to do. He ordered for a similar idol to be made in Panchaloka. As the duplicate one was ready, and was on its way to Tiruchendur to be installed. In 1653, Pillayan had a dream. Acting to the advice conveyed to him by the god, he put out to sea and, following the instructions that the idol was to be found at the spot whereon a lying fruit would be found floating, and the place marked by the circling overhead of a kite, the bird of Vishnu. Pillayan recovered the original idol and reinstalled it in the temple in the year 1653. Built near the seashore, the temple measures 91 meters north to south, 65 meters east to west, and has a 9-tier gopuram or tower gate, which is 157 feet tall. The main entrance faces south. The temple's inner sanctum is in a cave, and Murugan is the principal deity as a saintly child, portrayed in a granite carving. Tiruparankundram. Tiruparankundram, a hill 5 miles southwest of Madurai, is a pilgrimage site of Muruga. A cave temple dedicated to the element of earth and mentioned in various classical Tamil texts as the southern Himalaya where the gods assemble, Tiruparankundram is also mentioned in legend as the place where the sun and moon abide. Murugan was married to Devasena or Deivanai, daughter of Indra, upon the hill, and for many centuries the Tamil people have considered it as the most auspicious place for their own marriages. The marriage took place at Tiruparankundram after the victory of Subramanya over Surapadma. All arrangements for marriage were made and the marriage was performed at the Tiruparankundram temple. All the Devas, Shiva and Parvati, attended the marriage and blessed Subramanya and Deivanai. Since then, the temple has become a very famous abode of Subramanya. The temple is carved into a cave on the mountain, and all deities are in the form of sculptures on the walls. All rishis and gods who attended the grand wedding are depicted in the Sanctum Sanctorum, it is believed. Tiruthani. Thanidal means to calm down in Tamil. Tiruthani is where Murugan is known to have come after the war and his wedding to relax and let his hair down. The mountain on top of which the temple is located is elephant-shaped. There is a legend that explains this interesting anomaly. As a wedding present to Devasena and Murugan, Indra offered his pet elephant Airavata. However, with the elephant gone, the kingdom of the Devas began suffering a depletion of wealth. When he learnt of this, Murugan was willing to return Airavata. But Indra refused and requested him to merely have the elephant look towards Devaloka. This is why the idol of Airavata faces the east at this temple. It was during this time that Murugan married Valli, the hunter princess, which is a very intriguing story. There is a mountain called Valli Malai in Tamil Nadu. In a village beneath the hill lived a hunter called Nambi. All his children being boys, he longed for a little girl. On the mountain slope, an ascetic by name of Shiva Muni was engaged in austerities. One day, a gazelle went by, and the ascetic was aroused by its lovely shape. His lascivious thoughts made the gazelle pregnant. The daughter of Mal incarnated in the embryo. In due time, the gazelle gave birth to a girl in a pit dug out by the women of the hunter tribe when they searched for the tubers of edible yam, Valli. The female deer, having found out that she had given birth to a strange being, abandoned the child, which was discovered by the hunter chief Nambi and his wife. Overwhelmed with joy, they took the little girl to their hut and named her Valli. When Valli reached the age of 12, she was sent to the millet field, in agreement with the custom of the hillmen, to guard the crop against parrots and other birds, sitting in an elevated platform called Ithanam and chasing the birds and other beasts away. The sage Narada, who visited Valli Malai and saw the girl, went to Thanikai to inform God Murugan about Valli's exceptional beauty and her devotion to the god of the hunters. Murugan assumed the form of a hunter, and as soon as he arrived at Valli's field, he addressed the lovely girl, inquiring after her home and family. However, at that moment, Nambi and his hunters brought some food for Valli, and Murugan assumed the form of a tree. When Nambi and his company disappeared, the god reappeared in human form, approached Valli, and told her that he would like to love her. Valli was shocked, lowered her head, and answered that it was improper for him to love a woman from the low tribe of the hunters. At that moment, they heard the sound of approaching drumming and music. Valli warned Murugan that the hunters are wild and angry men, and the god transformed into an old Shaiva devotee. Nambi and his hunters took blessings and returned home. The old man asked Valli for food, and she gave him some millet flour mixed with honey. Then she took him to a small forest pond, where she quenched his thirst from the palms of her hands. Then he told her, "Now that you have satisfied my hunger and my thirst, do satisfy my love for you." Valli reproached him and wanted to return to her field. At that moment, Murugan invoked the help of his brother Vinayaka, who appeared behind Valli in the shape of a frightening elephant. The terror-stricken girl rushed into the arms of the Shaiva ascetic for protection. He dragged her into a thicket, and while embracing her, he revealed his true form, with 6 heads, 12 arms, and seated on his peacock. Carried away by this vision of her favourite god, Valli worshipped him and told her that she was, in fact, the daughter of Vishnu. Valli complied with his wish, and they loved each other. A female companion of Valli questioned the girl about her absence and the striking change in her appearance, but Valli answered evasively. Soon after that, Murugan, again in the shape of a hunter, appeared in front of the 2 girls, and the companion observed that Valli and the hunter exchanged amorous looks. Therefore, she demanded that the hunter remove himself. He then admitted his love for Valli, and he warned the companion that if she would not help them to meet and enjoy their love, he would resort to the old custom of riding the toy horse in the village itself. The companion agreed to Murugan's request. As the harvesting time approached, the tribesmen called Valli back to the hamlet, and the love-making was over. With a heavy heart, she returned to the house of Nambi. Her clandestine love affair with the god ended. Her mother noticed Valli's unhappiness and invited soothsaying women who stated that Valli was possessed by the spirits of the slopes, and that a ceremony in honor of the god Murugan should be organized. Murugan went to the millet field, and not finding Valli there, he came at midnight to the hamlet, and with the aid of her companion, Valli and her divine lover eloped. Next morning, Nambi's wife discovered Valli's disappearance. The furious hunter chief organized a party of hillmen in pursuit of the fugitives. When they reached them, they discharged their arrows at Murugan, but the divine cock of the god crowed and the hunters fell dead. Valli lamented their death, but Murugan took her along. On their way, they met Narada, who explained to Murugan that he should have obtained the consent of the parents. The god therefore returned and ordered Valli to help the hunters, which she gladly did. Murugan then assumed his true divine shape. Amazed and awed, the hunters worshipped him and begged him to return to the hamlet and to be married in accordance with the custom of the tribe. The whole village rejoiced. The young pair was seated on a tiger skin. Nambi placed the hand of Valli into the hand of Murugan and declared them married, while Narada assisted. At that moment, the gods appeared in the air and blessed everyone. Nambi then offered a feast, plenty of honey, millet flour, and jungle fruits. After a short stay at Tiruttani, Murugan and Valli returned to Skandagiri, where they were welcomed by Devasena. A final word about the most important festival for Lord Muruga, the Kanda Sashti. Kanda Sashti or Sura Samharam. Sura Samharam, also known as Kanda Sashti, is the most important festival dedicated to Lord Murugan. Kandasashti is observed mainly by Tamil Hindus. The day of Kandasashti is decided based on lunar month and falls during the 6th day of Kartikeya month. During Kandasashti, devotees observe 6 days fasting, which starts from the 1st or Pradhamai of Aipasi lunar month and ends on the 6th day, which is known as Sura Samharam day. Sura Samharam is the final and the most important day of the 6 days festivities. It is believed that Lord Muruga defeated demon Surapadman on the very same day, and the festival of Sura Samharam is observed every year to mark the victory of good over evil. It is important to note that the day when Sashti Tithi conjugates with Panchami Tithi is chosen for Sura Samharam Vratam. Hence, most temples observe Kandasashti on Panchami Tithi if Shashti Tithi starts before sunset on Panchami Tithi. Kandasashti celebrates at Tiruchendur Murugan temple are the most famous one. The 6 days celebration, which start from Pradhamai of Aipasi Masam, culminate on Sura Samharam day. Tirukkalyanam is observed on the next day of Sura Samharam. This is the life story of the god of war, Murugan, in short. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A final word about the most important festival for Lord